Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, I need to turn up my volume.
So, welcome for those of you tuning in at home. Joining us this evening for our Driven live stream are writer and star Casey Dillard, director Payne. We are hoping that Rich is going to be able to join us. Might be a little bit late. He's in Oregon right now, so we're going to see. And we're your co-directors of Nerds Beyond, Lindsay and Katie. So, Glenn and Casey, we just want to start off and say congratulations on the official release of the movie. We saw the screener a while back, and we've been so excited for people to see it. So it's really been awesome seeing it get the love that it deserves.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And thanks for having us.
Yes,
And
of course.
And we're excited that it's out for at least some of the people that have been waiting so long to see it. So it's hopefully international won't
Yes.
be too far behind.
So before we start, can one of you guys just give us a little summary of the plot for anyone who may not have been able to see it yet?
Casey, you want to take that one?
Oh, sure. It's about a rideshare driver and a very unusual passenger working together to break a very long-standing curse with some fun banter along the way, we hope.
Yes.
Very fun banter.
It was great. So were there any particular films that either of you felt inspired by or wanted to pay tribute to with Driven?
For me, one of the things that got the ball rolling on wanting to do a film that takes place like in one vehicle for the most part was a movie called Lock with Tom Hardy, which is totally different film and shot very differently. It's basically just him in the driver's seat, and that's basically it. But I thought that was really cool, and I used to do a lot of road tripping around the country, so it's always been sort of an intimate experience, hopping in the car and going and doing. So for me, I don't know about the writing phase, Casey. Also, where'd your bird go? I saw the bird, and now I don't.
He's doing something in my hair.
Okay.
He's still here.
Cool.
I didn't really have any in mind while I was writing, just as far as like plot or anything like that. I guess like if I were thinking about movies that I wanted to I think I was more along the lines of trying to think of movies that made me feel a certain way. So like I reference Hocus Pocus a lot, other than there being sort of curse. It doesn't have much in common with that, but like I hope it'll be like that it's a fun movie that people like, that maybe, you know, it's like that can be part of their Halloween tradition or whatever it happens to be, that it makes them happy and feels good to watch. All right, dude, you got to come back. He's tickling me. Come here, step up.
You have to introduce us. I don't think it has.
Yeah, I was gonna say the bird needs an introduction.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a name yet. Actually, he's very new, and this is part of me just trying to make him love me. Let me see if I can. He's
yeah, there you go. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, so he's a green cheek conure, but he's some kind of color mutation. Also, he might be a she, but either way, I'm calling it he. So, all right, there you
go. Glenn, I know you've mentioned Edgar Wright before. Which of his films do you find the most inspirational for your own work, just as a whole?
Well, it's sort of, I don't know, it's kind of a debate for myself still with Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. I love them both for different reasons. I guess, I don't know, Shaun of the Dead was super cool. And when we went to England for Fright Fest, we got to visit Londis. Is that how you say it, Casey?
Londis.
Yeah, which is like a shop over there, like a convenience store. So anyway, we got to mimic, recreate a long walking shot that Simon Pegg takes, like total film nerd moment. But that was really cool. So there's a lot of stuff within the film, stylistically, direction-wise, that I really liked a lot. And I think with his films in general, there's a certain amount of like crazy heightened preparation. So it's not just like, oh, I know what shots I want. It's I know what the words on the sign in the background out of focus need to say, you know, because it's this inside thing, or everything matters, you know, on this really, really extensive level, which is super cool to me.
So one thing I was really curious about, it was cold outside, I know you guys have said, when you were filming, and you guys filmed this inside of a car. So did you run into issues with the inside of the car fogging up while you were filming?
Yes.
Any question we could have. Did you run into this? I think it was a yes. But what?
Yeah.
There were other.
It wasn't as bad as you might think, because a lot of times, like, the back hatch would be open, or a door would be open, or a window would be down, or something like that, just to make room for all of the equipment and body parts that were in the car at any given time. But that being said, yes, they would fog up sometimes too.
Were there
I
any?
remember at one point they were trying to clean the outside of the windows, and it was Nicole, I think, that also did hair and makeup on the movie, because everybody did 12 jobs. And she sprayed the window and went to wipe it, and it just looked worse. And it was because the window was freezing when it hit the pane, because it was such fine drops. And yeah, the cold is an issue with the windows.
Which we blame on Richard. Always.
Of course.
Well, you guys made it look good anyway. So
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Were there any interesting solutions to any technical roadblocks that you found filming entirely in a car? Like, do you have to MacGyver anything a certain way?
Definitely there was a few shots here and there that changed. Like, there's a couple shots where the camera's inside the car and it kind of spins around, and it doesn't do a complete 360, but it has a circular move. Originally it was supposed to be a 360, but that proved very difficult. So we kind of modified some things like that along the way. I know you and Rich had some moments where, and I know Rich had a lot of ideas too on like shaking up the blocking in the car, because there's only 4 seats and the 2 of them sitting there talking for a lot of it. You know, where he jumps into the front seat, and I think he's laying down for a little while in the back and stuff like that. Those were some adjustments that either you guys or he came up with that kind of helped add some energy to certain moments.
Yeah, that would mostly be him, because, you know, I was driving, so there was kind of only one spot that I could be for the most part. But yeah, he definitely brought a lot to the table as far as adding movement and things like that.
Or he just hit his head really hard and passed out in the back seat at one time.
That's probably where all the good ideas came from.
the hood, the roof of your car.
Yeah, knocked some things loose.
Yeah.
Now he's brilliant. You're welcome, Richard.
it all makes sense now.
It all makes
Someone
sense
in the live
now.
comments said it was so claustrophobic, and I'm wondering if they were talking about Driven or Locke.
A Locke was probably more claustrophobic.
It was, for sure.
Yeah. Also, this is when we get to talk trash about Rich before he gets, just in case you guys want to throw anything out.
Yeah, we need to get it all in now.
Yeah, it's his fault. He asked for it for being late.
He did trust me with
He
some
did.
very deep and personal secrets that I guess I can air out since he's not here.
Oh, yeah.
Not true.
So the lighting in the movie it's beautiful. It's really intuitive. But, you know, you guys are filming in a car, you're filming outside, you're dealing with weather. Did that make it difficult to achieve some of the lighting that you had planned?
Yeah, for sure. And our DP, Michael Williams, and the rest of the team did an awesome job coming up with different ways to kind of introduce light. And some of it we already had. Some stuff Casey had in the script, and some stuff I had come up with. But it's always easier to come up with the idea. It's another thing to actually, you know, like, hey, now go do that for us, you know. So figuring out a way to get light into the car, because obviously there are limitations with the windows and just the angles of the way the light come in and stuff. So I don't know if anything changed dramatically that I can think of offhand. Casey, can you think of anything?
With lights specifically, not so much. I honestly think my rear view mirror was probably the biggest obstacle lighting wise.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't take it down. So.
Well, I guess one thing that for me later in post, because I edited the movie too, that kept popping up was when you would happen to see a shadow from a street light or whatever of the crew or of the camera. So Kate's driving around and suddenly this very clear camera silhouette goes across her face.
Yeah.
Or Rich's face or whatever. You have to cut away to something else. Cut to the radio for no reason at all. No,
well, you guys made it work.
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
So I'll say most of the visuals were not in the writing. That's mostly Glenn and then implemented by Michael. So I can't take any credit for that one. Believe me, I would if I could.
It was raining in the film, which we thought added a great element to it. But did it hinder the shooting at all, or did you kind of like that it was there because it added to that kind of ambiance?
Yes to both.
Well, it brought hypothermia into the mix, right? So that's
that's safe.
It was really cold, so I always like rain in movies because it always makes things cooler. But living through getting the shots done is not the easiest.
Well, and also it can mess with your continuity when it was doing what it was during that shoot, which was like it would just start. I mean, not even sprinkling, just full on raining for 20 minutes at a time, and then stop. And so you gotta piece it together or figure out like, okay, so do we just postpone this next part until later on?
Yeah. And then, like you said, matching continuity. That's when the rain would freeze because we'd have squirt bottles to add rain. One thing to the next scene, It would be different when you went to film, but it was freezing immediately.
I know there was one fight scene that we were having to do a lot of talking through. And it was not raining heavily, but it was kind of it was a good drizzle. And at one point I looked up because Richard and I were talking and like Jamie and Coley and Andy, some of the entities, and Nicole, who did hair and makeup, and Heather, who was our AD and in charge of wardrobe. They weren't glaring at us, but they weren't not glaring at us as we were like standing there in the rain, ruining all their hard work. And I was like, we should get under an awning before we make them mad and they make us look terrible the next day.
I remember Heather was really not happy whenever Rich was on the ground for part of it. Well, she was. I mean, she wasn't wrong. Do what now?
I said the coat got clean.
Yeah, it's still in the washer. It's cool. It's all good.
So when you were doing this, as we were watching yesterday, we were kind of trying to pick out what was outside the windows, oddly enough. Did you guys map out a certain route to film this on, and then did they have to block off the streets for you, or did you just kind of drive around?
All those things happened.
We tried blocking off some streets, but people would just come up and be like, hey, can y'all move those?
Sometimes you would see them just like slowly worm through the road.
Maneuver around them.
And they'll come down. But we did shut down near your apartment. We in the movie. We shut down those streets a lot. And
going around it though.
Yeah, well, they lived there. They had to. So remember, there was a lot of people that were just going home.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Look at this guy.
Okay, so this isn't Rich. It seems to be Glenn's chest shaver. All right.
Very active individual. What's up, man? He's frozen now.
He's frozen.
It's actually not a job.
That's what?
I can't hear you guys.
Oh no. Can you hear us now? Can you hear me now?
This is going great.
Oh.
He wasn't lying about the service.
Yeah.
If that's his only appearance, that's going to be hilarious.
At this point, I mean,
what was?
Oh.
There he is again.
I can only see myself and nobody else.
He can only see
He's
himself.
just talking to himself.
Can you hear us?
You might get some real insights as to who he is as a person.
Yeah.
It says I'm in the show.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you are sometimes.
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
There you
All
go.
right. Progress.
getting there.
That
Kind
background
of like a cartoon with a
Better?
really bad frame rate now.
Yeah.
It's like some really great stop motion.
Yeah.
It's like a flip book.
Yeah, it's really not a good connection.
Oh,
there we go.
Oh, we saw
That's
your mouth
better.
move. Yeah.
Hey,
All right.
What's up?
Welcome, Rich.
so can you guys see me? Is it working?
Yeah.
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 Your frame rate's a little off, but we can see you.
Like it's better than nothing?
It's really, really wonky on my side. Hold on, I'm gonna try. Let me try shutting this thing off. Hold on.
We can hear you really well.
Yeah.
Turn it off and on again.
Does that help?
About
No, it makes it worse.
the same. We can hear you pretty well though.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hold the camera really still in your face and don't move. We won't be able to tell the difference. All right.
All right.
I can't tell if he took me seriously or if it actually
know,
froze
yeah.
again.
No, I think he's just frozen.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Hope that joke was worth it.
Yes, it was.
time.
I was trying to remember the rest of the question.
Did you map out a route?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We had some plans about certain streets that had enough light to, make sense to kind of go down and looked cool for certain reasons. And when we did our premiere in Tupelo, we actually made a map showing people where they could go, to if they wanted to check out different spots. He's gone. To check out local spots that were in the movie, which
Little
was
walking tour.
driving. You could walk it. I mean,
You could walk most of it.
yeah, you probably have walked some of it.
Yeah, I've probably walked the driven
Yeah.
set.
So one of Katie and I's favorite things about the movie is just the really subtle, funny jokes, like just the deadpan humor and like a lot of it, like it just comes and goes like this.
Thank you.
For both of you, what were your favorite funny moments? Like when you were like, when you had the first pass over it and you were like, this right here.
There's so many moments for me, like just reading the script originally where I would just laugh and laugh. Obviously, once he gets going and they kind of have their banter.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite one is probably whenever they're at the gas station and Emerson says, like, well, not to be insensitive, but if you die, this all goes away, right? Just like try harder. Because that was the line that I could like imagine him saying when we started talking about Richard taking that role, and it turned out kind of exactly like I'd hoped. So
Isn't that cool when somebody delivers it exactly how you imagine it? It's a weird moment.
Without like coaching or direction or anything.
Just intuitively. Yeah, it's very cool. I like I always laugh really hard at the without giving anything away, the scene where you guys are having a heated moment and it's like the groom scheduled that. These little moments of funny reality is in more intense overall conversation. Those little things got me a lot. I always laughed at those. Oh, there's a lot.
Personally,
Yeah, our favorite is when Rich gets behind the wheel of the car.
Yeah.
I think we're in tears every time we get to that part.
So fun story. I past the first couple of screenings, I usually would sneak out of the theater during the movie and just sneak back in by the end.
Mhm.
And I would always listen for the big laugh, and I would know that that's sort of where we were in the movie. That always got a big crowd reaction. So that was my gauge.
Well, it's well deserved.
Yes.
What's happening?
So now, actually, speaking of the banter that Casey, that you and Rich had, were there any lines of dialogue that you guys struggled to get through because you were laughing?
You guys are pretty good about.
Yeah, I mean, we struggled to get through them for other reasons.
Yeah,
But no, I find him fundamentally unfunny. So it was it actually went really well in that regard. It would be great if he were in the chat for that, but
he's
sadly,
here.
no.
It's funny. If he's gone, you just sound like a turd.
Hopefully he's
I know.
watching.
Yeah.
In fairness, I am a turd, so that's not a wrong impression. No, he's funny, but I think it's just because time was so tight that maybe we felt the pressure to get through the scenes a little bit more. But yeah, basically, I don't find Richard funny.
Welcome back, Rich.
Now I'm in my in-laws basement. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
All right, okay.
we can hear you.
What's
You're
on- what's
moving.
on the walls?
Well, it's my father-in-law's tiny car collection.
I thought
So I'm in their basement garage, and I stole one of my son's school computers. So I'm trying a different method.
Resourceful.
Yeah, well, it's working pretty well. I love the name.
You like the cardboard box background?
Oh, I thought that was a solid structure. I didn't know what that was.
No,
It adds to the
no, it's
ambiance.
not. There.
As Rich builds his room for the.
Katie and Lindsay, hi. How are you?
Good.
Hi,
How are
good.
you?
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to see you both.
You
You
too.
too?
So we've
Now, can you guys hear me? Because I feel like it's going in and out. Is it going in and out for you guys or no?
We can hear you.
I can hear you.
All good.
we told all your secrets.
Good. If you can hear me, that's good.
All your secrets are out now, Rich.
All of them.
All of them.
Listen, I have no secrets. I'm an open book.
Well, you don't anymore. You don't have any
Someone
more.
asked if Richard was always our first choice.
Gosh. Well, you know what's funny is now I've got to get a different battery for my kid's headphone. All right, I'll be back. You guys talk without me. I'll be back.
Okay, good. Yeah, this is going to be a hard question to answer with you there.
Anyway.
Like as far as people that we seriously pursued, yes.
Yeah, I would say so for sure. Like,
I mean, like we throw a lot of names at the wall and see what sticks, but
Mm-hmm.
well, it's always fun too to just for the sake of like getting to enjoy the writing process. You can kind of be like, what would it be like if this person did it, or if and just see it sort of change in your head. But he was, I mean, for me and I think for Casey too, he was always definitely the top pick and the top person we wanted for Roger, because Roger's a very specific role that needs a certain
Mm-hmm.
skill set, and Rich had those things because he's very talented.
here's a question for Glenn.
Okay.
If we couldn't have gotten Rich, but we had access to almost anyone, who else could you see being a good Roger?
Me.
Okay.
See how I got around that question?
Yeah.
About promoting myself.
Yeah.
I would have died. There's no way I couldn't do all those jobs at the same time. That wouldn't have worked.
Fair enough.
Do I think a real answer? Do you want real answers?
Huh?
Well,
Yes, Glenn. That's why people ask questions.
That's what we're waiting for.
So if Rich said no, said get lost.
Mm-hmm.
but you could have anyone.
Literally anyone.
Well,
They don't have to be alive.
Oh no, God! Just you're opening it up.
Wow, you really opened that.
Jimmy
Hear me out. Edwin Booth.
Edwin.
Taking it way back.
You went further back than Jimmy Stewart. That's for sure.
Yes.
I don't know, like Bob Odenkirk, Jason Bateman.
I think Michael Emerson could have been a good Roger.
Yeah, Michael Emerson. Yeah, from Lost, right?
Yeah.
And
And person of interest.
yeah. Yeah, Rob Benedict.
But he said no.
Yeah, just kidding. Yeah, those are a couple that I remember. John C. McGinley. Okay, stop. Look at the conversation down.
Oh, the name has changed again.
I'm just listing all my job titles.
It gets more and more creative.
What number are we up to?
But now, can you guys hear me? Am I good?
Yeah.
Good. And now I can hear you. So it's all even.
Are these all the titles?
Well, that was a great interview. I'm sure it's over. Bye. Lord.
Are
Glad
these
you
all
can
the
make it.
titles?
So what did I miss?
I don't know. Not much.
We hypothetically replaced you.
We did.
If,
Oh,
you,
wait, who?
Passed.
if you told us
Jason Bateman
And Michael Emerson.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Also, Rob.
Yeah.
and
Bob
Rob.
Odenkirk, yeah.
Jason Bateman and also Rob.
Yeah, somehow.
So those two would have to battle it out for the role. Okay.
And Michael Emerson.
And Michael Emerson. We're going to split them, and they're just all going to be in the back seat.
It's going to be kind of like the Imaginarium of Dr.
Who's
Parnassus.
Michael?
Did you ever
Who's
watch
Michael
Lost?
Emerson? No.
That would be the most noteworthy or the easiest one I could point to. He's
I'm
also
sure
in Person
he's
of Interest. He was in the first Saw movie. Yeah, he's wildly talented.
Yeah, he's good. He's really good.
Roger would have been very different if he had played him, but I would have been curious to see his take on it.
They said
And I
if you, were,
concur with your choices.
if you were all playing one of the Avengers, who would we have cast? And that's what we've been talking about. If you had said no, because you had all the abs and you were
Chris Evans is busy, so they needed a new Captain America.
oh yeah,
It's rich.
Captain America. Yeah,
What happened?
you're the new Captain America. We just
Congrats.
That's
congratulations.
shocking news. I wish I would have showered had I known that.
It's fine. This was your audition tape. You did great.
Step up.
Oh, geez. Perfect.
So, Rich, I'm going to step back a little bit to a part of the conversation that you missed because I'm curious what your answer is. We were talking about how many subtle, funny moments this movie had. There's just a lot of like jokes that just, you know, they came and went. They were so deadpan, but they were great. What was your favorite funny moment?
I think one of my favorite moments, and this is again a nod to the writing, was the transition when the movie clearly becomes a comedy horror versus a horror.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first, obviously, it's lighthearted when Emerson is going through her stand-up routine and her rides before she picks up Roger. But then Roger gets in the car, and there's a big X factor, and it's a little creepy, and you don't know what's going on, and so there's some scares executed in those moments. And then, to me, the whole turn happens on the moment where Roger tries to use the knife a second time.
Yeah,
Like the first time he uses the knife, it scares her. She's intimidated, and that works. The second time he uses the knife, she backhands it out of his hand, and to me, that's sort of that sort of subtle moment of, oh, this is the ride we're now going to take. And I thought it was fun to play, and it played great on the page, and I thought it played great on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Rich, do you remember the seatbelt bit? Was that were you playing around doing that, or was that real? You were having trouble?
No, that was real. The seatbelt wouldn't. I couldn't. If you really give a seatbelt an old hard yank, it thinks you're having a wreck.
Yeah.
So it just locks.
Yeah, you get one try in the Honda, and if you don't accurately measure how far you need it, you get nothing else.
Almost
That's
made
it. I learned that the hard way.
Dude, do not pull stitches.
Stitches. No, that's not how the saying goes. Never mind. I'm gonna stop there.
Nope.
Other way.
Close. So it seems like you guys had a lot of fun with the rideshare customer skits when you were kind of like running through those scenes with all the different people. Were there any other funny ideas that you had that didn't make the cut, or maybe you weren't able to pull them off for whatever reason, but you would have liked to included them?
I thought about having another shot where she's just literally writing down stand-up ideas, and maybe it's like a funny one-liner. Yeah.
If they were,
Go ahead. Are you frozen?
I think she might be frozen.
She's got this minute.
She's not frozen. She's really got an intense stare.
And the bird has just stopped moving.
They're very disciplined in the Dillard home.
Oh, Bert's gone, but she's still.
The bird moved.
You froze up, Casey, and then your bird just disappeared.
no, I could hear y'all clear as day, but you apparently couldn't hear me.
What'd you say? What was your?
What now?
You were saying something, and then you froze.
I was listening to you, boss.
Man, okay. Well, whatever I said was spot on.
No, I'm trying. Oh yeah, customer skits. I think that if there were any, they didn't even make it into the script. I do think I had a couple of like half-baked ones maybe, but they didn't necessarily like lead to a satisfying moment when they played out in my head. I wish that we could have done more, just because we had so many really, really good people submit for all the roles. Like anyone that you saw in that sequence, I would have loved to have seen more of them.
And we did have more, because we got them to. Well, we had the scripted bits that you see in the movie, and then I got them to improvise, or we got them to improvise a little bit, because they were already there, and we had the shot set up for them. So maybe a couple of those were in the movie, but you can only show so much, and then the pacing gets weird, and then it's just too much going on. So on the DVD and I think in the like deleted scenes, you can see more of those characters riffing with each other, little funny bits that we wanted in the movie, but just would have padded that out too long, I think.
The guys that played the husband and wife arguing about birthday dinner, they definitely had a lot of much longer conversations. I think they just were married by the end of the night, but like automatically married for 15 years. And they were funny because I think they both came from a theater background, and I'm not sure we ever called action on them. They just kind of went.
Start, man.
And you hoped that you were rolling.
Yeah. Start. Yeah, they don't wait for action. Yeah, and they were also very tall. The tallest couple I've ever had in a film. So Marcus was too tall, way taller than me, which is not allowed.
Yeah, he was. Yes. I remember that first night when he sort of unfolded from the table, and I was like, "Holy crap! I'm glad we cast a really tall lady, or there would be."
He was like 6'6" or something, and Leanne's like, she's around 6, right? She's
like 5'10" or 5'11", I think. So she's a little taller than me.
Everyone's taller than me, so.
do we act our
What are you doing?
So, Rich, we're going to put you in the spotlight now. What aspect of Roger's character resonates the most with you?
I think in terms of the story in particular, I think the idea of being in over your head with the task that he had to perform, because, I think, coming from the world that we all are fans. I know you guys are fans of Supernatural, and I'm from Supernatural, and Sam and Dean and that world, they're always well equipped for the task that is before them. And I think Richard and Roger are much more likely in real life to be completely in over their head and, ill-equipped to battle anything scary or demonic or powerful. And I think that was the element that I thought, if that were really to happen, I'd be about as ready as Roger. We ain't that ready. Like he was encyclopedic ready. He had done the research, but in terms of executing the actual job itself, he was a little off the mark.
But still willing to put himself out there in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Say it again.
I was saying, but still willing to put himself out there into the situation and try.
Yeah.
He gave
100%. I mean, there was something great about his, ignorance is bliss kind of willingness to go headfirst into this task. The thing about Roger that I liked about the character is he wasn't actually afraid, even though he didn't know what the hell he was doing. Like he definitely was committed to the idea that he was going to see this whole thing all the way through. And there's something admirable about that, even in a guy who's got, one bullet in a 6-bullet chamber. Like but he was hell bent on doing his best with what he knew how to do.
Well, and not just in the dangerous situations. He also very much jumped into what I would call emotional situations that were sort of out of his depth. And I thought that you did a really good job, showing him kind of feel his way through those.
Well, thank you. And yes, I think you did a good job of priming that in the script. Like that's, we've done a lot of interviews, and I think that's one thing we keep circling back to. In that, I think I can speak for the three of us that we're all proud of, is that the script, which I did not write, that Casey wrote, has deep characters. The characters' backstory. The characters have. It's not just let's put these two people in a situation and let mayhem ensue, or let chaos ensue, or let scary moments ensue. These are well thought out characters, which is why it has a very play-like or theater feel to it. Is that there's depth and reason and history and motivation for the character's actions, so that you feel like these two people. You feel like Emerson before Roger gets in the car, and then by the time Roger gets in the car, you're not that deep into the ride. You feel like I know this guy too, and which then makes you enjoy the character balance between the two people, trying to not just navigate the night but navigate each other, and that makes the story motivating as a viewer. And I think that's anything that resonates as from Roger's perspective as a character is because those seeds were planted on the page, and then we played with it from there.
So Rich, we know you direct Lucifer and Supernatural. How difficult, if at all, is it to kind of switch back and forth from director to actor through all of your projects?
Interesting question. And it's not hard at all, because I've done so much of, I've been acting my entire adult life. I've been directing for the last, professionally for the last 5 years. So the directing is on the newer side. And there's something very freeing about coming into a project where you don't have that assignment. Because I, previous to doing this movie, I had been doing Supernatural as a director and Supernatural as an actor, and in one case, both. And so it was really refreshing to be able to show up, have my idea of what the movie should be from Roger's perspective and from Richard's take on the character, but then to arrive and see that Glenn had such a clear vision on what he wanted to do, that it wasn't, the weight was off my shoulders. Now, the weight's never truly off your shoulders in an indie film or any film, but because you're all working together to achieve what you want to achieve. And, it's in my best interest to help Glenn and Casey do what they want to do, because I benefit from the movie being as good as it can possibly be, just as they do. So we all work together, and we all put our heads together in certain scenes, because as Glenn can tell you, as Casey can tell you, and as I can tell you, you can draw all day long, but until you get actors up on their feet and moving around, the written word and the storyboard image have to come together in a 3-dimensional execution of actor action. And that changes things when you have a moving car, not a drawn car, when you have, multiple players involved and lighting concerns and everything else. So, the fact that I have a bit of a background doesn't hurt, because then I feel like I can lend an ear to an educated conversation about how best to execute something. But Glenn had a very, very clear vision of what he wanted this story to be. And I've said it before, his storyboarding is like a graphic novel. He could just have that published. So he had a very clear idea, or not an idea. He had a very clear vision of what he wanted the movie to be. And so anything I could do to help execute that vision was great, and not crossing jobs. It's still the job of the actor to help the director tell the story. That's why the director picks an actor, because they want that person to bring to the table their skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Well said.
Yeah.
I liked all that.
Check.
All of it. So I guess starting with Casey, what is everyone's favorite scene in the entire movie?
That's
I'll pick one favorite child.
yeah, right. Exactly.
I think the scene where Emerson and Roger go to pick up the supplies from Grace at Emerson's apartment. It was very, very funny for me to write. I think it plays out funny on the screen. I was really sick the day that we were filming, and so it was good to know that I was in the hands of I had a very talented person on either side of me, and I was like, this will be fine. I don't have to worry about how this will go. So I think that one.
That's a really hard question. That's a good one. I think right now, he
didn't want to answer it.
I know. He's like,
he hates all of them, actually.
He's going to come back with a new name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's his ploy.
There's a solid chance he's only doing this so he can change the name each time, which I would also do if I thought of it first. But I think for me, right now in this moment, if I have to give an answer, I would say the scene where, just for spoiler reasons, let's just say they haven't been together for a while, and then they are together in the graveyard, and there's a certain energy about the two of them being back in the car together, and I don't know, adrenaline. There's a sense of adrenaline there for what they've been dealing with, and some really funny lines about apps and reviews and things like that. So maybe that one for me, at least right now. At 7:45 Central Time. That's my answer.
We'll hold you to that.
And Richard doesn't have one.
Richard doesn't have one.
Yeah. We'll pick for him.
We'll pick for him, and our pick for him is one that we have a question about.
That was a great segue.
Really, we planned it all.
Like, kudos.
We planned it. We actually kicked him out just to do that. Was the scene at the gas station when Richard or Roger is squeegeeing the window, was that scripted or was that improv?
We added it on site to give him something to do during that conversation, because it didn't seem like something that he would want to say when he was looking at someone straight on.
Oh yeah.
And it also functioned for the window too.
Yeah, right. It also meant that we didn't have to keep a bloodstain continuity on the window. So
yeah, even in their world though, as far as suspicion and things go.
Yeah,
I think. And that was Frozen also, which is a bit of trivia, right? The window cleaner.
Yeah. He just pulled out a block of ice the first time.
How'd that story go, Rich? You that had to be a shocking moment, or did somebody else find that out? I don't remember.
To pull out the ice, I think we figured that out in rehearsal. But it was it definitely told a story of how cold it was.
Yeah.
Did you feel like Merlin was going to be looking over your shoulder? Was that like your sword in the stone? Yeah.
The squeegee in the bucket.
Well, only if I hadn't been able to pull it out. Yeah.
Oh.
Someone in the audience.
Yeah. First, well, I was going to say someone in the audience is asking what was the first scene shot, but I don't think we should let Rich get out of answering the first question.
True.
About favorite scene?
Yes.
First of all, I enjoyed them all. They were all super fun to do, and that's not a lie. It was actually a very pleasant experience doing all the work. But one of my favorite moments is Casey and me sitting in the tailgate of the car as I'm telling her how to throw the dust in a demon's face, and tricks of the trade I used. It's a brief scene, and it's a really well framed and well shot scene by Glenn and Michael. And it's simple, but I think it's a lovely connection between the two characters, and I think it's cinematically a really cool shot. I also think it was, and Glenn, you can chime in on this. I feel like it was one of those mother is the necessity of invention. Necessity is the mother of invention, because I think it was drizzling or something was happening where we had to make you changed your plan for that and it became that, right?
Yeah,
I was going to ask that actually, because it was raining in that scene.
I think that shot was how it was designed originally, like with the two of you together. But it was going to be somewhere else.
Like at the hood, maybe?
I think somewhere just a big open parking lot with a lot of lights. Something that wasn't going to work anyway. Like you said, in a drawing, it's great. And then you get there, it's like, oh, that's not how perspective works. But we did have to set up the rain wasn't planned, and we had to set up a tent over the back of your car, right? To, I guess, just help with getting less rain on you guys.
Yeah, I think so.
Because that was really cold. Because you had a huge model there, basically.
I just like that scene. It was just a cool moment. I mean, it goes by in a flash, but it's important in the story because it's important that they're swapping this information, and it's just a well-framed, different perspective because we're facing the front of the car and the side of the car so much. It's the one time that we have both characters back there. I thought it was a cool moment. Yeah,
I like that a lot too. It was a good one. Mm-hmm. And Casey, I feel like that was one moment too where, like, I know Rich had a lot of the dialogue there, and he did great with that. And you had you responded to it. I felt like that was a moment where Emerson, you could see her very clearly connecting with Roger. To me, like she seemed almost a little in a brief moment in awe of kind of his journey or something when he's handing her the powder and stuff. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I've always liked that exchange too.
Well, you're just going to make Casey mad. I mean,
what?
I said, as soon as he said in awe, I'm like, you're just going to make Casey mad. You're just going to, she's just going to get mad now.
I think it's a nice moment because like he's actually sharing this with someone. I think it's her realizing that like he has been through some stuff in this process. I mean there's a lot in a little there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very cold.
Yep.
And it was cold.
I agree.
So just the one from the comments, what was the first scene that you guys shot?
The first scene.
Yeah, the very first scene of the movie, which was going to be at sunset. It was like a circular shot of you might see myself in there, and then Casey's character comes out of the apartment, and it was supposed to be at sunset, and that was going to be the only daylight of the whole movie, and then it was going to be night right after, and then the rest of the movie was going to all be night. But we had so much trouble getting it right after like 15 or 20 tries, it was just dark. And
Glenn got so mad
because it wasn't working.
Yeah.
Because we were like, oh, we're going to push it back to tomorrow, and then we were like, well, why don't we just stop for a second and just start it again, and it'll just be nighttime. Because I thought we could have the sunset, through the window, like really a lot of color and really cool looking, but that's not how it worked out.
So we've actually got another directing question now, another viewer question for Glenn and also for Rich. How do you get the shots you picture in your head to the camera, and do you ever have to sketch it out, or are you lucky with words and can just say what you need?
I don't usually draw them out like with a storyboard. I like to just write them down, but sometimes there's benefits to having them drawn out. I think the more you make, the more you know what you can do, and therefore you save time and you're more efficient. So if you make enough stuff and you plan to do something and then it clearly doesn't work when you get there, you remember that and you learn that lesson, and then you take that with you the next time you make something. So after a while, stuff's always going to pop up that doesn't work. But for the most part, I think you usually have a decent idea of if a shot is possible or not. Of course, that really helps if you can go to the location and kind of live in it for a minute and kind of be around it. But yeah, that's what I got to say.
Yeah, I would, having seen Glenn's directing notes and seeing Glenn's a quite gifted artist, so he is able to, for his own, whether it's for his own notes or to share with his DP, he can draw nice perspective shots. That is a skill I do not have. So me drawing a shot serves no purpose to anybody. Unless I suddenly break into stick figure filmmaking, in which case I'm ready. But so I always just, for my notes are for me, and I always just write very detailed descriptions of what I want. And with the teams I've worked with thus far, you know, I'm competent enough to explain what I want and smart enough to know when to give in to their better ideas. So somewhere in the middle lies the result.
Sometimes I'll just pick the camera up and move it, which they love. DPs love.
Oh yeah, big fans, big fans.
So, guys, I want you to pretend that Driven is playing at a drive-in theater, a double feature. If you could pick any movie to be playing for that, you know, the second film with it, it doesn't have to be something that's new, just literally any movie that exists. What would you want to be showing with Driven?
I know. Lock.
We talked about
It'd be
Lock
two
earlier.
movies of everybody in a car the whole time.
Yeah.
First us, then Tom, what's his face, and then they're in the car the whole time.
Yeah.
Why can't I think of his last name?
Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. Yeah. What a movie, by the way. What a freight train movie. If you haven't seen Locke, spelled L-O-C-K-E, go watch Locke. But I would go Driven and Locke.
Man. Well, Casey, it's your turn. That's how it's.
Oh, okay. The Hunt for the Wilder People.
I haven't seen it.
One in a car, one all outdoors, almost all outdoors. And I
What's
really
it called?
like The Hunt for the Wilder People. It's a Taika Waititi film.
I hear it's
I
very.
haven't seen
I
it.
haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
It's
I just
really
love
good.
Taika.
I don't know that any like Taika Waititi movies are unknown, but I would say that it's one of his. Okay, Bert, stop. I was trying to go down my shirt. It's one of his less known films. And, you know, I just like to think that maybe more people would watch both movies then.
I don't fully know why, but I'm going to go with Tucker and Dale versus Evil. That's my. It's a duo.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Comedy horror duo where the chemistry is really good, and it's smart, witty dialogue where things aren't always what they seem, and you're not in a car. I'll go the opposite route of Locke. Yeah, you're in a cabin in the woods. Yeah, that or Drive, just to get really confused.
This really drives people nuts.
Hey, that was
now we're just conjugating a verb. We go from driven. We should go driven, drive, and then driving Miss Daisy, and just have it be a whole like verb conjugation.
We'll get Morgan Freeman to show
Did
up.
anyone make a movie called Drove?
Not yet.
That's going to be the second one.
Sequel.
That's the title of the sequel.
There we go.
On a boat.
You guys heard it here first.
There's a lot of people that are talking about hearing a cat. I think they're hearing my other bird whistling.
No, it's my cat.
Oh, it's your cat. Okay.
He's locked in the room. That's why I had to go. I had to open the door to let him out.
He's not happy about it.
No, but he didn't leave. Is the funny part of it.
He
He's
just
still
wanted
here.
the door open.
Yeah.
He just wanted the option.
Yep.
So throughout the movie, mixed in with the really, really awesome soundtrack. I know, Glenn, we mentioned that on Twitter the other night. You guys also have some, actual existing songs put in there too that are, actually like playing on the radio. Emerson's listening to them. So the end of the night, Emerson's finished with her shift. She dropped off her last customer. She's heading home. What song is she blasting?
Is it Tom Petty? Is it Free Fallin'?
Nah.
Okay.
Oh man. We got to circle back to that one. You just wrinkled my brain.
I can give you a radio story real fast. One of the things that Casey and I talked about while she has time to think, with like what kind of songs to play. Obviously, you pick the songs that fit the mood of the scene and what's needed, but we wanted to intentionally have a variety of different genres of music in the film, like coming from the radio, to just sort of play off a kind of run parallel to the different genres that the movie itself dips its toe in. You know, whether it's like a buddy movie or just comedy or a horror thriller or whatever. So the music kind of is meant to. That's why you have some kind of new age stuff and then some 80s montage music and then some really lovely stuff at the end. Yeah, I'm still talking, but have you got it figured out yet? Keep going? Okay.
No, I haven't got it figured out.
Continue stalling.
And so Rich recorded a song we're going to use in the Blu-ray edition of the credits where he just yodeled the whole time.
Perfect.
Oh, that's great.
He didn't sign a release form though, so I don't know how it's going to work out. But
now I'm trying to think about like what all kinds of music Emerson would be into.
We're doing
I'm just going to say she was listening to something by the Ockerville River and call it a day.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Over my
head. Someone in one of the viewers asked, I lost it. Oh, what's something you learned about yourself while shooting the film?
That I can live off 3 hours of sleep for 2 weeks.
I learned that That's a lie. You did. I learned that if I run full speed to a car door, a headache.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Boy, that was a solid lick, man. I got real.
How is that steel plate on your head these days?
I hope that's a deleted scene.
Can't go in airplanes anymore. Metal detector goes off.
I did learn that if I needed to drink coffee, I can make myself if I mix it with hot chocolate powder. That's how I drank coffee every night to stay awake. Because we filmed overnights. So I just poured lots of cocoa into the coffee.
I learned that
cocoa, right.
I learned that most people are a lot more tolerant of heat than cold. I'm not one of them, but that was like most of our crew. A lot of them were like, I'd much rather be sweating.
I'm the opposite. I'd rather be cold.
Yeah, same.
It was
also, since driven, I don't get cold anymore.
There you go.
True story.
Your body has adapted.
Yes. I think my tolerance is not what it was like in the months after we finished filming, but I still I'm trying to remember the last time I was like I'm miserably cold, and I don't think I have been since the movie.
I think we have one more, Lindsay.
There's one more viewer one
I
wanted to ask just because
okay.
I was thinking of this last night. One of my favorite funny parts is everything with the essential oils. Like I just lose it. I absolutely lose it every time. So we actually have a viewer question asking, was there actually anything scented in those bottles, or was it just water that you were squirting around?
Water. Except for the scene. Oh wait, never mind. That would have been a spoiler. I'm not gonna say that. But it was a lie anyway, so it's not important that I finish it.
Rich and I did talk about pulling a prank on you and putting rubbing alcohol into those so that when you squirt your face, it would.
I feel like that's more than a prank. I think that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be an assault.
I might have pranked y'all with a tire iron after that, so you never know. Just jokes. Just a good joke across the side of your head.
Just joking around. You don't understand. It was a joke.
So now that the world is, I don't know if I should say it now. It's kind of a spoiler, but after the last of the movie, what do we think Roger is going to go head out and do?
Become a barista because he's going to lose all his money.
Yeah, he is probably going to have to learn a trade. But I mean, he's got a well-connected family, so I don't know. Maybe they'd hook him up with a good position in some other company.
Do you think
Is
he
he gonna learn how to drive, or
No.
So in my head,
No.
he's
No.
from New York, and a lot of people there don't know how to drive because you don't necessarily have to. And so I don't think
Right.
it's important that he does.
Do you think he would? We joke
That was my thought as well.
we joke about what comes next sometimes and play around with ideas for fun. I mean, do you think he would go through some withdrawals, right? Like, let's just say he went into regular life and did whatever, or got a corporate gig, in a suit. Wouldn't he be would there be a lack of
withdrawals from being rich? Yeah, I'm sure that's tough.
Well, not he'll always be rich.
Yeah.
But nobody got that. Okay.
No, we got it.
If he's living
does that make it worse?
and then he goes into regular, office life, I wonder how he would fare. I think he would.
I think it would be tough for him. I bet he'd find a really interesting hobby.
I think. Yeah, I think there's two things. I think it would be tough for him to assimilate into working for a living, which he's never done. And it also seems like this journey that he's on that culminates in the movie has been his life's work for a good portion of his adult years. So that's gone too. So then he's going to be a man without a passion, a hobby, or a source of income. So he's going to be like Starman for a bit, I think, as he sort of sorts out what it's like to be a normal person.
Yeah.
I do think that the next day Emerson might have talked him through driving to the airport to go home. So there's that. There was one nice moment before it all goes to hell for him.
She spritzes him on the way out of the car with the essential oils one last
Probably.
Because I read a fan fiction yesterday, and then joked around with other ideas of what would happen next. So now my brain is all confused about a lack of reality about what goes on with the characters' lives afterwards and what doesn't.
So it's all compromised now anyway.
Yeah, it's sort of tainted.
Well, I think that's all we have, Lindsay, right?
Yeah. So just to finish up, for everyone watching, please, make sure you can get Driven digitally. You can get it on DVD. You can order it. You can watch it right now. Literally go on Amazon, buy it on iTunes. But when you watch it, make sure that you guys are rating it, please. Go on IMDb, submit your rating through iTunes, literally anywhere that you can. Just say what you think about the movie. We know that there's some trolls going around that clearly haven't watched the movie, that have given some ratings that really don't make sense. So watch it, rate it, review it.
Watch it again.
Do you guys have any last words before we sign off?
I think Rich is behind the troll thing. The ratings.
I'm just trying to work out my angst. So.
Glenn has some weird ideas about how pranks work.
Here's I'll let the filmmakers have their last words, but I'll throw in my 2 cents, which is lockdown has prevented us from doing a lot of things that we would like to do. One thing it has offered up to us is the opportunity to expand our knowledge of film. It's a great opportunity to watch films like Driven, independent cinema. And so I encourage you to watch this movie, seek out other independent filmmakers, watch their work, and then share your knowledge and love of those films with not only the internet community, but simply with your friends and family, because word of mouth is what really drives an audience. And at the end of the day, filmmakers like Casey and Glenn aren't in this to make one movie. They're in this to make movies in general and make more movies. So the more we can do to support independent filmmakers, watching their work, enjoying their work, because it's always fun to see, and then spreading the word on internet with reviews and just good old-fashioned word of mouth is a benefit not only to us as viewers, but to them as filmmakers. So I encourage you to check out Driven and then share the love.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Also, there was a weird glitch when you were talking, and right when you said filmmakers, it almost sounded like you said failures, like Glenn and Casey. It was like interesting direction to take it, but sure. Yeah. So, like,
thank you.
My final words would be thank you to everybody. We know that it's been a long time. We know that some of you guys are still waiting for a way to watch it, and I promise we're working on it. If you can watch it, please watch and review, and also watch a movie called The Way You Look Tonight, because it was maybe one of my favorite ones that I saw during our festival run with Driven. And it's a really lovely movie, also by an indie filmmaker. So once again, that's The Way You Look Tonight. And if you have any suggestions for cool bird names, tell me them, because I don't have a ton of ideas. Please, I want to be someone.
How about Greenbird?
Original.
No good? That's no good?
Hates it.
He hates it. Well,
Everyone submit your ideas to Casey on Twitter.
Yes.
About it tonight.
yeah.
It's your homework.
And I want to say thank you to Casey and Richard for doing such an amazing job and creating characters that I haven't gotten tired of watching yet. So a ton of work goes into making the movie. A lot of people work super hard, but ultimately it comes down to the two of them, because that's what we're watching, is these two guys be excellent at what they do. So thank you everyone for the support, and you guys are awesome.
And thanks to Nerds and Beyond for having us on.
Yeah, and
Thank you for coming.
sure.
Right, and thank you everyone
Thank you,
for
Katie and
tuning in.
Lindsay.
All right.
All right, party at Casey's house.
Yep. See you guys later.
Submit your
Bye.
bird names.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.